This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 71 of Retired Racehorse Radio on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by our friends at Kentucky Performance Products, Casual Company, and Green Flower Botanicals. Retired Racehorse Radio is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse, and it's brought to you in cooperation with the Retired Racehorse Project and New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program.
In today's show, equestrian and fitness coach Jamie Graham joins us not only to talk about how to incorporate rider fitness into your New Year's resolutions, but also shares her adoption story of her OTTB and how she followed her heart to bring him home. We ring in the new year with Leandra Cooper from New Vocations, and we ask her for her top tips on warming up a horse before a winter ride, and we introduce you to our adoptable horse of the week. Our listener of the week is Sarah Bainham. If you'd like to be our listener of the week, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Now back to the show.
And they're off on Retired Racehorse Radio, the podcast that is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse.
This is Jamie Jennings, and I'm in Norman, Oklahoma.
And this is Joy Orr in Detroit, Michigan, and you're listening to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So happy New Year. This is our first show in the new year. Yay.
I know, Jamie, we're going to hit 100 episodes this year.
Do you know that I was talking to Glenn, the owner of the network, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, I thought I was going to be done with the show when I went to the makeover in 2019. And here it is. We're still going.
I know. Our year 3 it's just wild. Is it 3, 2?
It was 2. Well, we started in 2019, so we're in our 3rd year, and
that is, my gosh,
all because of, well, you do all the work, but also because of Karen at Kentucky Performance Products. This is kind of her baby, and we really love having her on board. But I've got to ask you, now that it's the new year, I mean, we've already had like one ice storm, and I'm just curious on how you, being up in Detroit, what do you get to do with your horses during the winter? Is it no big deal because you have indoors? I don't have one here. I'm trying to get an idea of because I lived in Phoenix for 10 years, and this was the best time of the year. So I'm struggling.
No problem. Yeah, it is. How would you say, the darkest of times? Like, I've invested in a headlamp because by the time I'm out of work at 4:00, it is dark outside, and I'm wondering which chestnut is mine. Yeah, I'm blessed to have an indoor now, which is really nice. And like this winter, I'm actually teaching lessons for the first time in a long time. I already have a couple students signed up, which is really exciting. And they all have little ponies. So cute. So that's kind of keeping me busy and bringing my horse up through fitness because we're teaching her how to jump. But before I was graced with an indoor, I had the scariest outdoor arena because my parents only invested in that fence tape. So you just get like that slight wind and everything's flapping around and it's dark, and you kind of like park your car up to the fence line so you can see with the headlights going. It's a real jank, I'll be honest. It was pretty ratchet.
Yeah.
And what I honestly like to do, it doesn't really work when you have muddy, icy footing. You're kind of just like SOL on that. But when you do get that nice snow, it is a great time to get your horse to pick their feet up. I love riding in the snow. I think it's so much fun, especially if you can kind of create some different levels of the snow. Like you can have some fun with it, almost making natural trot poles, if you will. Snowmen for horses. Think of it that way.
Do you have to have your horses barefoot for that, or can they wear
No.
shoes?
I had a horse who had one hoof that was higher than the other for whatever reason, and she had snow pads. And you just check it before and after the ride.
Okay. So
and we get lake effect snow. Yeah. So they have specialty type ones that kind of have some studs to help them out. And so you get the snow package. God forbid you lose it. It is expensive, so keep track of those. But yeah, you can do it with shoed horses. Just get your snow package. Barefoot's great too. They can still get packed hooves though in the snow, especially if you get lake effect, that weight, like very wet, heavy snow. Just double check. I keep rides shorter. Bareback rides are also great. If you have your horses who are can safely go bareback. No one go out, try to be crazy, rodeo style it. That's not on me. That's on you.
When I lived in Kentucky, I would always ride bareback, and I fell off multiple times. But you're like falling onto like a little pillow. So
Exactly.
It's no big deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have enough layers. You have your heated vest on. You got the extra cushion.
Yes.
But
The
there's
heated vest.
And if you have a horse who's not used to bareback, you can cool them down in the bareback. So you're going in saddle, kind of get the jitters out. And if it feels safe and feels good, do that last 10 minutes where you cool them out, since it does take longer in the winter, especially if they're not clipped.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. All right. Well, I ride here all the time. I'm just trying to gauge, like, I decided to not take any, I do full training, and I decided to not take any horses from January 15th to the end of February. But I still, of course, have my own and all of the ones from the Horse and Hound Rescue that come. So there's still stuff to do, but I am like, yesterday was so cold and windy. I'm just having a really big problem with motivation. So I did join that. There's a HRN Winter Ride Challenge going on, and you can go find the Facebook page. You can join it. And so I've challenged myself to ride my baby Andalusian and my Mustang both just twice a week. I ride thoroughbreds the rest of the time, but these guys all kind of get the back burner. So I've challenged myself, and so far, you know how many rides since I signed up? 0.
It happens, and you got to be safe, and you got to take care of yourself and your horse. I mean, we're in like 10-degree weather right now. Yeah. I don't ride under 18 degrees in the indoor. Outdoor, I won't do under 20. I tried that winter vortex stuff once, and it was like a 10-minute ride before me and my horse were like, my lungs. I know. It wasn't great.
Braver than me. I'm like, I'm not riding if it's under freezing. So yeah, I would, but again, I came from Arizona where like this is the best time of the year. So, well, anyway, that's enough weather talk. I'm just trying to gauge how I need to live my life and prepare myself for the next couple months. But I feel like I haven't got it right yet. So we'll see. But first, before we get to our first guest, let's hear a little bit from our title sponsor, aforementioned title sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Researchers have confirmed that as horses age, they naturally become less sensitive to insulin and more susceptible to health problems caused by too much sugar in the diet. One way to reduce the sugar content in a horse's diet is to replace sugar-laden grains with a high-fat supplement. Fat is an extraordinary energy source. It is readily utilized by the horse and contains more than 2 times the calories of sugary grains. Equijewel Stabilized Rice Bran is an excellent fat supplement. It contains a balanced calcium to phosphorus ratio and won't cause mineral imbalances when added to the diet. Its all-natural ingredients are high in healthy fat and fiber. Best of all, Equijewel allows owners to easily replace the calories previously supplied by sugary grains. When you need to add healthy calories to your horse's diet, choose Equijewel. To learn more, visit Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
Well, I'm excited to introduce our next guest. We have Jamie Graham, who's a certified personal trainer, recreation therapist, and equestrian, and she has her own company, Haybales and Barbells. And before you ask, why are we doing fitness? This is Retired Racehorse Radio. She also has an off-the-track thoroughbred, and she's going to share that amazing story too, along with rider fitness with us today. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. What some people don't know is I've actually done 3 programs with you. So I feel like I've known you like pretty well now over the last few months. And
yeah, I know.
So before we dive into your story with Coda, who's your thoroughbred, I would love to talk about kind of the importance of rider fitness. We're in a new year. I'm sure a lot of us have New Year's resolutions we're trying to get to, whether it's more balance in the seat or just feeling more fit and healthy overall. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came up with Haybales and Barbells and where that all started?
Yeah, so I started my business June of 2020. The pandemic happened in March, and I lost my job in March of 2020. And I've always planted this seed that I wanted to incorporate fitness and horses together because those are my biggest passions. But I just never had the time or, just never had the time and the space to do it. But, lo and behold, the pandemic happened and I had a bunch of time on my hands. And then in June I launched and it's been going great ever since.
So Jamie, tell us a little bit about how you structure your programs and how you get them to be more balanced for a rider who's going from the gym or at home or to the barn. How do you like to plan those out?
Yeah, so I have a few different programs available. Joy, I have my boot camp. It's a 2-week boot camp. And then I have a 6-week program, a 12-week program, and I also offer workout guides. So I have a lot of different avenues to how equestrians can utilize my program. Everything's online and done through an app, so it's super convenient. A lot of people like to take the workout to the barn if they want to do the workout after a ride, or they want to go to the gym. I also have gym programs. They can just go to the gym and do the program through their phone, or if gyms are closed, like a lot of them were when COVID was happening, is happening, and they want to do home workouts, they can do that too through the app, or just use the home workout guides that I offer.
Amazing. Well, it's nice you have the flexibility. And I can speak from personal experience too. When I worked with you, you asked me what my specific goals were. And for me, I have, a weak hip from track injuries from back in the day. I really wanted to strengthen on core and feel like I was sitting more balanced in my saddle as a dressage rider. And you definitely helped put some programs together that focused around that. And it wasn't like the same thing every day. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I try to incorporate just more variety. I know that as people get bored, when working out, especially if you're a beginner and you don't want to do the same things every single day. And it's not beneficial for your body either to do the same exercises, over and over again, because your body gets used to it. And then the more you do it, it doesn't really affect your body at all. Your muscles don't really grow or change. So you always need to spice things up. You need to change the exercises, so your body can get the most benefit from it.
Absolutely. That is like such a perfect segue to, in this show, we talk so much on rehabbing thoroughbreds, bringing them into fitness, how you go from race fit to sport horse fit all the time. We don't really talk about rider fitness, and most of our listeners, I'd say, are amateur owners who are bringing thoroughbreds home. Do you believe rider fitness is just as important as our horses' fitness? And if so, why?
I think it's equal. Like, because you can spend years working on your horse's fitness, but if you can't keep up with them, like there's no use, or vice versa. Like you could be super fit, but your horse is not. So,
that's typically what happens to me. I'm so fit and my hair is like trying to catch up. So it's common.
Right. Like it doesn't, like you guys are both athletes. I think a lot of times riders don't view themselves as athletes. And that's one of the reasons why they think that they don't need to train out of the saddle. I really wanted, when I started this business, I really wanted to just promote that aspect. Like we are athletes. Riding is a full body sport. I don't know if you can think of any other sport that requires you to use your whole body at the same time while controlling a 1,000-pound animal. It's hard work. And I just feel like people need to understand that. And I think people need to respect the fact that they are athletes. And the only way that they can really get better as an athlete is if they train out of the saddle. Like basketball players, I was telling my husband this the other day, like if you're a basketball player, do you just dribble the ball in the court like every day and think you'll get better at playing basketball? No, people, they go to the weight room, they train, they run to get better. And it's no different with us, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And, I'd like to clarify, there's different levels of fitness. I think sometimes in the horse world, we can get really stuck that there's a stereotype of you have to be a size 2 and be stick thin. And truthfully, you could be fit at almost any size, I would think, as long as you can carry yourself in your balance and poise. And I think you figured out a way with these programs to do that. I just finished up the boot camp myself, the 2-week boot camp, because let's be real, I had too many Christmas cookies. I'm not going to lie. I totally did. I'm not the only one. I will feel no shame. But it was just, body weight movement at my own pace. And there was still this community aspect of with other riders who are all at different levels. But it felt like no pressure. I didn't have to go in the gym and Hulk out and have this perfect body to feel good. It was just some intentional movement.
Exactly. And that's the thing with my company and my social media and everything. I'm a firm believer in all bodies are a fit body. All bodies are equestrian bodies. A lot of the times people think fitness, they're like, oh, I have to work out 2 hours a day at the gym, no days off, like grind mentality. But no, it's even just doing 20 to 30 minutes 3 times a week. Doing simple body weight exercises can change so much, with how you ride. And I'm trying to change that kind of antiquated belief about fitness, especially for equestrians.
What a great opportunity to say that you made your platform as a place for everybody, no matter who they are, what they're doing. And what I love is you're saying, let's break the stereotype. And you also did that when you were getting your horse as well. That's been an interesting experience. I think a lot of people who are thinking of a thoroughbred have gone through. Tell us about how you got Coda, because it was not smooth sailing.
Yeah, it was not smooth sailing at all. So Joy knows the story. So I started looking for a thoroughbred, I think in maybe August, September kind of time frame. I had a lease horse. He is an appendix at my old barn. And I've always wanted a thoroughbred. Like I grew up riding thoroughbred. So I was like, I want to get a thoroughbred. I have my mind made up. So I went ahead and I told the owner of my barn that I was going to get a thoroughbred. And she basically told me that all thoroughbreds are crazy. They're out of control, that there's not enough space at the barn for the thoroughbreds to run because this is quote unquote, they're bred to run and they don't know how to do anything else.
How has she ever met a thoroughbred? Good.
I said the same thing when she told me.
Mine is like, nah, not today.
Mine's a potato.
Yeah, mine is the slowest dude that you'll ever meet. But she's met one thoroughbred. So there was one thoroughbred at the barn a lady took him out at the trail, and then I guess a car honked, and then the horse got scared and took off down the street. And that's when the barn owner said no more thoroughbreds because they're all crazy and they're all going to take off.
I met a girl once, and all girls are mean. I don't like any of them. How
many exes have said that?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And then, because she breeds quarter horses, and then she proceeded to try and sell me one of her quarter horses. Yeah, and said, quarter horses have the best brain. And
are you
like,
still
no, I'm not interested?
Are you still in that barn? And have you proved her wrong?
So, no, I am not at that barn anymore.
Right.
I moved to an amazing facility. There's tons of thoroughbreds, and the barn is just so great. And I'm so grateful that I moved from that situation. Like I've been around horses for a very, very long time, and I've never met someone say something like that about a thoroughbred. So that, that surprised me a little bit. I thought she was a, like a knowledgeable horsewoman, but I chose to leave, and it was the best situation for me.
So where did you find your horse?
Yeah, so I found my horse through a friend's friend. So I've been looking for in September time. I was on Facebook every day. I was looking for relentlessly on Facebook, because that's where a lot of the people sell horses. I don't know how it works out where you guys are, but in Arizona, that's one of the most, common places where people sell horses. So I spent about a month looking, and then my friend messaged me and said she knows someone who retrains thoroughbreds. So I went out to her facility, and it was love at first sight.
Aww. And tell us a little bit about Coda. Because he's gorgeous.
Thank you. He is a 2014 dark bay gelding from Oklahoma. He had 25 starts. I don't believe he won because of how slow he is. But he is just such a ham and has the best heart ever. He tries so hard. He has a heart of gold, and he never does anything stupid when he knows that I'm on him, even if the horse, next to us is going nuts and bucking and bolting and having a good time and turnout. He's just like, okay, mom is riding me. I need to stay calm, even though I really want to do something. I'm not going to do it. And it's been really great getting to know him. He's also helped me with my anxiety a lot. So my previous lease horse, he, throughout our maybe like 2 to 3 months before our lease ended, he started becoming aggressive towards me. One day I was in the turnout pen with him, and he charged at me and reared up. And from that moment onwards, I was like, oh my gosh, crap. I'm like, my anxiety started to really heighten. And when I first got Coda, I kind of had the same kind of feeling, because in my head, I already created scenarios where, he would run off, he would rear, he would buck, he would kick me or whatever. But Coda's super sensitive. When I'm anxious, he gets anxious. When I kind of flinch, he'll flinch. So, through him, these few months, I've learned that if I am calm and, grounded and present, he does the exact same thing. And he's helped me a lot with that.
Oh, that's such a beautiful, happy ending. And yes, way to prove your old trainer wrong on thoroughbreds.
I know.
They truly are magical. We're so excited to follow your journey with Coda. There's a horse for every heart and a heart for every horse. And
right.
we're excited you found each other and you stood up for him.
Dude, by the way, I would spam her with photos of you and your horse every day.
Every day.
I wish she has no social media. She's like super old school. Or
text her. Text her.
Drop off a flyer. Anyway, right. Jamie, tell us where people can find you. I think you're running a boot camp coming up soon as well that people can sign up for.
Yeah, so you can find my programs on www.hayballesandbarbells.com. I'm currently, my 2-week boot camp is open for registration. It starts on Monday.
Amazing. Actually, when this episode drops, so epic.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So check it out. And if you can get it that time, that's great. Otherwise, she has a ton of other programs to check out. You might be working out with me at some point. Who knows? All right. Thank you so much, Jamie, for joining the show today. And best of luck to you and Coda as you continue your dressage goals.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Whether you're braving the frosty snow months in the north or enjoying a break from the heat in the south, we can all agree there's never a wrong time for a trail ride. That's the truth. Casual Company helps you enjoy the ride with their full line of trail bags. They have tush cushions, from cantle bags and horn bags to everything in between. Comfort and convenience on the trail is what Casual does best. To stay up to date with the latest products and news, follow Casual Company on Facebook and Instagram. And to find their products, visit an authorized dealer or visit casualcompany.com.
Always wanted to be one of our RRP Spotlight riders? Well, now you can. Applications for the 2022 Thoroughbred Makeover and National Symposium presented by the Thoroughbred Charities of America are now open. You can apply today at tbmakeover.org, but don't wait too long. Applications close at the end of business day on January 21.
Hi, this is Roger McFarland with Green Flower Botanicals. Every day we're asked the same recurring question. How can I know if CBD is going to work for me? Well, did you know that CBD, or cannabidiol, has now been researched for its effects on over 50 medical conditions, including some of the most common conditions related to the health of your horse? It's amazing how this one little cannabinoid found in the cannabis plant has been responsible for nothing short of a revolution when it comes to natural medicine. Listen, it's safe, it's effective, and it's given to us by nature itself. And here's the truth. The only way to really know if CBD will work for you or your horse is to give it a try. And we want to make that very easy for you with our try and see money back guarantee. So right now you can go to greenflowerbotanicals.com and receive 20% off when you use code HRN. And here's the best part. Your purchase is backed by our promise that if you're unsatisfied for any reason, we will refund 100% of your purchase. So try some CBD today, totally risk-free, by going to greenflowerbotanicals.com, use code HRN at checkout, and receive 20% off your entire purchase.
It's time to welcome Leandra Cooper to the show. Leandra is from New Vocations and brings us our adoptable horse of the week every time. However, we also like to ask her a training tip. But before we do that, I need to know, Leandra, how are you? Are you frozen? What's going on?
Oh, I could never admit to being frozen because I was born and raised in Boston. And so any cold that I'm experiencing here is still nothing compared. So I feel like just because of my northeastern roots that I'm obligated to say that no, we're fine. But it is cold. If I'm being honest, it's cold.
You sound like you have a cold. Are you a little sick too?
I am. Fortunately, I've tested negative for COVID, but that doesn't stop the fact that there is still some cold going around. So I have it all in my sinuses and it feels delightful.
Man, I'll tell you what, everybody around here is sick and I'm like fingers up, like stay away, stay back.
Yeah.
It's that time of year. So, well, thank you for joining us, even though you are sick and you're freezing to death. And I don't care if you're from Boston. It's just cold is cold. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. Well, we like to surprise you with a training tip question, and Joy came up with this one this week, and it is, we just wanted to get some of your tips on kind of warming a horse up before a winter ride. You know, what I experience is it's cold, the horses are excited, and I'll go like, let's have just a nice little trot around in the round pen and let you kind of warm up. And of course it's like, whoa, I've never trotted. You know, they gallop around like complete lunatics. Like, I don't want
Or you get the
hurt.
opposite, Jamie, of the super sticky, stiff horse who doesn't want to move forward.
Yeah, I guess you can have both of those. So what are some things that you guys do in New Vocations to get your ride off in the right direction?
Well, that is a great question because we're all battling with that. And I like to go back to the roots of it and just say that grooming is a really good place to start because it's the very basics of it. I mean, first of all, you're not able to, in most people's situations, you're not able to give really thorough baths or anything at this time of year. So grooming is important anyway, but it really does help to get that circulation going and warm them up. I mean, imagine if you're just rubbing your hands together and the kind of warmth that it can provide. So really getting in there with a curry, and if they don't like curries, then even something like a tiger tongue or one of those gruma, if like the curry combs that aren't as stiff, really help to just get them warm. And a lot of that sort of goosey behavior that we see obviously is going to be the result of just that temperature change. So warming up the muscles can help a lot to just loosen them up. Or even if they are going to be a little bit wacko, that warming up those muscles is going to keep them hopefully, or at least help to prevent them from sustaining some sort of injury as a result of their being a little bit wacky. But yeah, I mean,
good. You mentioned the tiger tongue. That might seem weird to people who haven't heard the previous episode, which is my thoroughbred hates being groomed. What do I use? And Leandra was like, the tiger tongue. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And it is the greatest tool. If you have a thoroughbred, it's like $8 on Amazon. Okay. It's this brush thing, sponge brush thing. I don't know. It's amazing. And every time I pick it up and use it, which is 4 or 5 times a day, in my head, I thank you. Like, Leandra. Oh, Leandra.
I remember you asking me to describe it, and I was like, I don't know. You're just gonna have to go get it. Like, it's hard to describe. It's like the shape of a sponge, but it just traps dirt, and it's amazing, and I love it. But yeah, I sometimes forget that that's not part of some people's like general lexicon. Oh, you don't know what a tiger tongue is? That's crazy.
And by the way, don't Google it. Just trust Amazon it. Okay.
That's true. It's Epona, I think, is the one he makes. I could be saying that wrong. Epona, I believe, is the company that makes it.
I think you're right. Yeah. So you get a good grooming in, which is important, I think, not only for the horse's muscles, but for your muscles. And once you do head out to the arena or the round pen or wherever, what are some things that you do?
Well, I'm going to say that the next step is going to depend a lot on how bouncy you're feeling. Because in some cases it is easier to handle horses who are excitable from the saddle. But of course, that's going to depend on your personal preference. If you have a horse who can be lunged and you're comfortable doing it, stick them on a lunge line, because if nothing else, it's going to give you a really good sense of how they're feeling and how they're moving in that warm-up phase. So I will never turn down a good lunge, but there are cases where you can't do that. So in our situation, a horse who's rehabbing from a soft tissue injury, it might be advised by a vet not to do smaller circles. So in those cases, if you need to, because I am always an advocate of safety first, give them a little bit of a sedative. If that's something you can work through with your vet and you can do that, then honestly, better for you and your horse. If it really is to the point where you know they're going to be bouncing off the walls or you're doing rehab rides or something like that, I don't like to sedate them. Like, I refuse to do any video with a horse that has sedatives. Like, we don't show horses with sedatives because I want people to see what they're going to be like. But if it's a matter of your safety and you're just doing like hacking rides and it's like when it comes down to that, because we know it can get down to that, then do that if you can't do something else to let them get their energy out. But obviously, allowing them to stretch their legs in a way that's safe before you get on, that's one step. For me, I don't mind a little bit more of a bounce. So sometimes it is easier just to control them and not to be like in the line of fire or anything else, that I will just try to hand walk them just to get a sense of how they're going to be. I do put extra emphasis on doing things like stretching their legs out after I tighten the girth and things like that, where you're just checking in with them anyway, because the best thing you're going to be able to do in that situation is to get a sense of the horse's mental and physical status, right? And then, like, for me, like I said, sometimes it is easier just to get on, and if they want to jig, then then you're not worrying about your feet being underneath them or something, but you can sort of concentrate that if they need to trot out, and then you go back to walk and working on transitions and things like that. But it is going to depend a lot on the individual horse and your comfort level as an individual human being.
Yeah, I'd say too, one thing that I like to do with these horses, and it does take a little finesse and you do have to practice, and hopefully on a horse that maybe has done it before, is long lining. I love long lining because in a lunge situation, you have the inside rein, but you don't have the outside rein, and you
sure don't. That's where they go.
Exactly.
I know.
So like a lot of times when they are high and they're lunging, they're bent in the wrong direction, and they start to learn to crossfire and all these things. So by having the long lines on, you can really control the horse's bend and keep them bent in the direction they're going, and you have a better braking system, as opposed to like.
No, that's a happy medium. That's like you're still going to be able to get that more controlled exercise, but if you don't want to be on top of them or worry about not staying on top of them, then you're so right. And that's a really great alternative.
I guess I don't think enough about, you guys really have to do a lot of rehab rides where you're like on a 3-year-old in the cold and you're supposed to walk it for 20 minutes. You're like tap walk it. I would imagine that giving them a CC of ACE or something probably does make things a little bit easier.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, truly, because again, I am really conservative when it comes to sedatives, but in those situations, like there's no pride in not using it, because if it's going to keep you safe and it's going to create a better result in the long run, then the horses, they remember the experience too, right? So it's like, even if you're trying to be, the tough guy, I'm not going to use that. But like, if the horse is still going to remember that being like a wacko time, and it being stressful because they want to just run and you're not letting them and all of that. So you can really, in the right situations, it is a responsible thing to do, to use a little help if that's what you need.
Especially when you don't want the horse to get any more hurt. So that does make sense. Now, your adoptable horse of the week, I swear every week I have to talk Joy off the ledge from adopting the horse, because this is a beautiful mare. Oh my gosh, she's almost 16 too, dark bay. but with a blaze, like big wide blaze, and
the kissable nose.
Of course,
Oh,
yeah.
very.
A discreetly mined baby, and has really notable pedigree, like unbridled Seattle Slew, Fabiano, AP Indy, Secretary, all those things. So tell us a little bit about Beyond Discreet.
Oh, you're missing some of the best parts, being that she's an easy keeper and she's barefoot. So let's not forget that, because you hit the nail on the head with all like physical features or bloodlines. Absolutely. Let's not also forget this horse had 40 starts, won $250,000, and is a sound, sane, amazing creature today. So being one of our older citizens at just, of course, 8 years old, but like geriatric for us, basically, but she is like an anchor for turnout, where we can turn out some of the younger ones, and she is an older, wiser individual, but she is also just, free of stall vices, any of the downsides that people think of when they think of a horse who's been on the track for a while. But she was in our 24/7 turnout for a while, did really well. Like I said, she's barefoot, and just a really level-headed, sweet individual who's easy to handle on the ground. We haven't started her back under saddle yet, mostly because we were so swamped in December, but she's been really an all-star, getting back into work and getting her back into just good fitness on the ground. And like I said, just really easy to handle in general. But she also has kind of a cool story, or maybe it's not cool so much because it was very expensive, but that's one of the great things about New Vocations. We've taken care of all of that for you. So it was a clean start moving forward. But she's had 2 surgeries for sinusitis and had some teeth removed because they were showing some infection in the roots of the tooth. Just one of those freak sort of things, and it was causing her this nasal discharge. So we've taken care of all the gross, nasty sort of stuff, and she's now, having gone through that and an old suspensory injury, she's ready to head back into a low-level career. And we think that she is just going to be an awesome horse, not just as a mount, because I have no doubt, even though we haven't started her back under saddle, just because of the way she is, some of the horses you can just kind of tell that they're going to be easier to work with as you go through that. But just she's a really nice horse to have around, likes to be around people. So you kind of are in a win-win situation.
So when you have the sinusitis, did she come to you with that, or did y'all just discover it yourself, or were you told about it ahead of time?
So she actually had a surgery in 2020 for that, where they had removed a tooth. And so it was seen, she raced in between that. So, it was seen as just kind of like residual from that, but we found out that it was just more extensive than they had originally thought. So she had this second surgery, and they kept her for a week and had to open up this little bacterial drainage line that kept closing back up in her sinuses. So at this point, we're pretty confident that she is good to go. But it just one of those sort of things you don't generally expect to encounter, and can be very expensive, like I said. So fortunately, that we were able to take care of and send her to just truly the best people who could possibly handle her case. And she has not had any drainage since then. So I think that's well in her past now. But it's hard to mistake when something, it is very hard to diagnose. She actually had to go in for a CT to figure it out, because skull x-rays aren't going to do very much for you in distinguishing what's going on. And so it's hard to peg down, but it's this like chunky cottage cheese kind of drainage that just doesn't stop. So it's like you definitely know something is going on when your horse is cottage cheesing out their nose for a long time.
And all of you that are sitting down to dinner or breakfast, enjoy that. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're going to leave everybody with cottage cheese drainage. So, Leandra,
really great.
Where can people go see this beautiful, lovely mare who has no more drainage?
No more cottage cheese out our nose. So Beyond Discreet's profile can be found at our website, which is newvocations.org or horseadoption.com. And if you go to the horses tab, you can see Beyond Discreet, whose profile is up already. You can see some videos of her free lunge. She's a really lovely mover. So definitely check that out. And her adoption fee is $1,000.
Perfect. She's a steal. It's like she's free. Leandra, as always, we appreciate you being on and offering some advice, and we look forward to talking to you again next time.
Always a pleasure to be on.
You can find our show notes, links to today's guests on the website at retiredracehorseradio.com. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Search for Retired Racehorse Radio. You can find me and all the shenanigans and horses that I train on my Facebook page. Just search for Flyover Farm. Jamie Jennings, certified Monty Roberts instructor, or you can email me directly at jamie@horseradionetwork.com.
You can email me at joy@horseradionetwork.com or find me on Instagram if you want to see what I'm cooking and want recipes, or would like to see my big fat horse enjoy the snow at the Foodie Equestrian. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products, Cashel Company, and Green Flower Botanicals. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Remember to set your goals high and love to learn from every ride.
And spay, neuter, and gild.
Bye, guys.